Alright guys, welcome back to This Month in AI, your monthly roundup of everything that happened in the AI space in the month of April. This month was pretty wild. We saw Meta's Llama 4 drop and instantly spark controversy, AI agents from Visa and MasterCard that can literally pay for things. Google and Microsoft both admit that over a third of their internal code is now AI generated. Reddit users changing their minds in real time thanks to a wild and sort of illegal AI experiment, and signs that China might no longer be trailing behind the US in the AI race. So yeah, a lot happened, and those were just some of the highlights. As always, we're breaking it all down into clear categories: models, tools and features, agents, real-world impact, research breakthroughs, robotics, and what's coming next. And of course, we'll only be covering the stories that actually mattered. So whether you're deep in the AI world, a builder, an investor, a founder, or just a regular person trying to stay ahead of the curve, this is your one-stop shop to get fully caught up on AI. If you find this helpful, feel free to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's dive right in. Alright, so kicking it off with AI models. One of the biggest drops this month was Meta's Llama 4, which came in 3 variants: Llama 4 Scout, Llama 4 Maverick, and the massive 2 trillion parameter Llama 4 Behemoth. Now, performance-wise, very underwhelming. Even the Behemoth model barely outperformed Google's Gemini 2.0 Pro, which launched months ago. But there were 2 things with this release that did stand out. First, the smallest model of the bunch, Llama 4 Scout, features a 10 million token context window, by far the largest in the industry. If you're not familiar, tokens are basically fragments of words that AI models use to process language. So 10 million tokens would equate to roughly 7.5 million words, according to ChatGPT, which is also the same as roughly 80 full-length books. Meta claims it can handle that much context efficiently, but third-party tests and the AI community aren't so sure. Second, the chatbot arena controversy. Meta submitted a special version of Llama 4 Maverick, not the one they released to the public, that was secretly fine-tuned for human preference. And they submitted it to LM Arena, a popular site where users vote on head-to-head AI model responses. The thing is, they didn't disclose it. They basically tried to pass it off as the real Maverick to boost performance rankings. Once it was uncovered, there was some serious backlash, and LM Arena eventually admitted that this violated their rules. Alright, now onto the OpenAI side of things. On April 14th, they introduced GPT 4.1 in the API. This is a series of models built specifically for developers. As you can imagine, these models are really good at coding. The largest, GPT 4.1, scores 55% on SWE Bench Verified, a benchmark that tests how well AI models can fix real-world GitHub issues without human intervention. Part of the series is also 4.1 Mini and 4.1 Nano, which, as you can see, offer some very competitive pricing. Especially since these models aren't just really good at coding, but they also outperform GPT-4o and GPT-4o Mini across the board, which is pretty insane. What's weird about this release though is that OpenAI had already dropped GPT 4.5 in February. So why go back and release 4.1 after just releasing 4.5? Well, no one really knows, but I guess that's OpenAI for you. They've never really been great with naming. Now, just when we thought things couldn't get any more confusing, OpenAI dropped 2 more models, O3 and O4 Mini. O3 is the full-sized follow-up to O3 Mini, which had already been out for a few months. And O4 Mini is the latest in OpenAI's O series, a line of models built specifically for advanced reasoning. Both models are state-of-the-art across nearly every benchmark, scoring new highs in math, coding, and tool use tasks. O3 specifically is said to have an IQ of 136 on the Mensa Norway IQ test, far surpassing current frontier AI models. The model also has incredible geo-guessing capabilities. It can analyze a single image and locate exactly where it is in the world accurately. This is likely due to its novel ability to think with images. O4 Mini can do this too. They can now reason in not just language, but images as well. A glimpse into what future multimodal models could look like. But the full O3 model didn't just make headlines for its performance. Some serious safety concerns also popped up around its release, and we'll be getting into those later in the research and breakthrough section. Now, next up, we've got Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash. This model dropped just weeks after Gemini 2.5 Pro back in March, and it's essentially a leaner, more cost-efficient version of that model. 2.5 Pro is more powerful overall, but Flash is way cheaper and still holds its own on most tasks. Google actually claims it's their most cost-efficient thinking model yet, built for tasks that still need advanced reasoning, but without the high price tag. They also introduced something new along with this release, a thinking budget, which lets you control how much reasoning the model actually uses, trading off between cost, speed, and output quality. Let's shift over now to China, where Alibaba dropped Qwen 3 right at the end of the month. There wasn't a huge wave of hype around this release, but make no mistake, Qwen 3 is performing nearly at the frontier alongside models like Gemini 2.5 Pro, Grok 3 Beta, and O3 Mini, and it's fully open source. It also features hybrid thinking, meaning it can switch between reasoning mode and non-reasoning mode, something we're starting to see more of. Unfortunately though, Qwen 3 wasn't the model people were hoping to see this month out of China. DeepSeek R2 was expected to drop before May, but it ended up getting delayed. Still, if Qwen 3 is any indication of where China's models are at right now, then R2 might be something special. Speaking of DeepSeek, while they didn't drop R2, they did quietly release a new model right at the end of the month. DeepSeek-Prover V2, an open source model designed for formal theorem proving. Basically, a model specifically designed for advanced mathematics. And based on these benchmarks, it's a pretty big leap forward over the current state of the art. Now, onto some of the more low-key releases. We got DeepCoder from Together.AI, a fully open source 14 billion parameter coding model that's performing right around O3 Mini level. I don't know what the obsession with deep is lately. DeepSeek, DeepProver, DeepCoder. I mean, sure, maybe it's a nod to deep learning, but honestly, every time I hear it, I just think of the deep. If you know, you know. And we're not done yet. A new startup emerged out of stealth this month called Deep Cogito, or Cogito. They dropped a series of models, Deep Cogito V1 Preview, and introduced a novel training method called IDA, short for Iterated Distillation and Amplification. They describe it as a scalable and efficient alignment strategy for general superintelligence using iterative self-improvement. Now, for a brand new startup, their models are performing decently on benchmarks. But what's way more interesting is this self-improving training process, which they haven't shared too many details on just yet. So definitely a startup to keep an eye on. And by the way, this won't be the last time we talk about self-improving AI in this video. Finally, one last drop worth a quick mention. Kimi-VL and Kimi-VL Thinking by Moonshot AI. This is a compact vision language model using a mixture of expert setup, activating just 2.8 billion parameters per task, yet still managing to match or beat models like GPT-4o on key benchmarks. The thinking variant adds chain of thought reasoning and performs surprisingly well on math and long context vision tasks, especially for its size. Alright, that about does it for language models. Now, let's take a look at some of the updates in the AI image, video, and audio generation space. Starting with image models, where Chinese company ByteDance launched Seedream 3.0. This model kind of flew under the radar, but as you can see, it's extremely impressive. It's currently ranked second on the official artificial analysis image leaderboard, sitting just behind GPT-4o and holding a solid lead over most other frontier models. We also got the highly anticipated and very overdue Midjourney V7. It's been nearly a year of waiting, and Midjourney themselves hyped it up as their smartest, most beautiful, and most coherent model yet. Unfortunately though, it just didn't live up to the hype. Visually, it's fine, but there's nothing here that really pushes the frontier forward. At least, not compared to what others are doing right now. For example, we also got a massive Kling 2.0 update this month from Chinese company Kling AI. This model delivers hyper-realistic generations that honestly aren't that far off from Hollywood-level production. I mean, I know I might be exaggerating a bit here, but just look at these clips. The motion, the physics, the camera control, it makes everything else, including Midjourney V7, feel kind of dated. Next up, Character.ai decided to jump into the AI video game this month with the release of a new model called AvatarFX. This one's all about turning static 2D images into full-blown 3D characters. And it honestly looks pretty wild. Check this out.
5 seconds ago, I was just a still image.
Now, I've got a voice.
Welcome to Character.ai's AvatarFX.
And finally, alongside ByteDance's image model Seedream 3.0, they also dropped a new video model called Seaweed-7B. I thought this model was worth mentioning because of how small and cost-effective it is. The generations are also shockingly good and incredibly realistic. So it's becoming pretty clear that China isn't just catching up in the AI race anymore. They're actually starting to push the frontier of what's possible. Alright, now to wrap up this section, let's talk audio. There was only one major release in voice generation this month, but it was a wild one. 2 undergrads from Korea, I'm guessing South Korea, one of them reportedly still serving in the military, built an open source text-to-speech model that outperforms 11 Labs and Sesame, is only 1.6 billion parameters, so super small, and could stream real time on a single GPU. Check this out.
Oh, fire! Oh my goodness! What's the procedure? What do we do, people? The smoke could be coming through an air duct!
Oh my god, okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure?
Everybody stay fucking calm! Everybody fucking calm down!
No! No! If you touch the handle, if it's hot, there might be a fire down the hallway!
Oh, fire. Oh my goodness. What's the procedure? What do we do, people?
Oh, fire. Oh my goodness. What's the procedure? What do we do, people? Good, no, not this.
Okay, we've covered a lot of models this month, from Llama 4 and GPT 4.1 to DeepSeek-Prover, Kling 2.0, and even Kimi-VL. But now, it's time for the real question. Which one actually stood out the most? And which one will we be crowning as this month's B.M.O.T.M? For those who don't know, the B.M.O.T.M stands for the best model of the month. If you're wondering what my criteria for choosing the B.M.O.T.M is, don't. It's purely vibes-based. That being said, the B.M.O.T.M for April is O3. This one was honestly a no-brainer. OpenAI's O3 model is just on another level. It's state-of-the-art across basically every benchmark, especially the reasoning-heavy ones. It has incredibly advanced tool use and agentic capabilities, along with the ability to reason with images. And I know IQ is probably not the best measure of intelligence, especially for an AI model, but that IQ of 136 is just too crazy to ignore. Anyway, let me know if you agree, or if there's a different model you would have picked for this month's B.M.O.T.M. Drop it in the comments. Alright, so that wraps up the models section. But it wasn't just about the models this month. Some of the biggest moves actually came from the tools and features being built on top of them. Starting with OpenAI, they announced that memory in ChatGPT can now reference all of your past chats to provide more personalized responses. So this was pretty crazy. OpenAI essentially announced infinite memory. I mean, the model doesn't have a live, continuous awareness of every conversation you've ever had with it, but it can search through your entire chat history and pull relevant information when it needs to. This also means OpenAI's been storing all of that data. And honestly, if it makes the model better and more useful, I'm not mad. These tech companies already have everything on us anyway. At least this time, it'll be used for our benefit. Let me know what you think about that though in the comments. Is the trade-off worth it? And also, if you're not into it, you can turn off memory in your ChatGPT settings. Now, this month, OpenAI also rolled out a new image library inside of ChatGPT. Basically, a personal archive for your AI generations. You can revisit them later, make edits, or even share them publicly. On top of that, they dropped a new model in the API, GPT-Image-1, their first image generation model built specifically for developers. This model is reportedly on par with GPT-4o's native image capabilities, meaning it's likely really good at generating exactly what you asked for, which is perfect for developers. OpenAI also revamped ChatGPT's shopping experience. They've made shopping through ChatGPT simpler and faster. If any of you out there actually use ChatGPT to shop, let me know, because I've never actually tried it. And I'm genuinely curious if it's better. Now over to XAI. Grok got infinite memory of its own this month. It now remembers your past conversations and can generate personalized responses. They also released the first version of Grok Studio. This is basically the Canvas feature that you may know from ChatGPT or Claude artifacts from Anthropic. It's a separate window where you can collaborate with the chatbot, and in Grok's case, you can do this with documents, code, reports, and even browser games. Alright, now moving over to Google. And by the way, if you're wondering whether some of these count as tools or features, honestly, I couldn't even tell you. But for Android users with newer phones, you might now have the ability to share your screen or camera with Gemini Live to get real-time assistance. This feature is honestly pretty insane, and I could think of a million different use cases for this. Google also finally integrated their AI video model V2 inside of Gemini this month. Speaking of video generation, Higgsfield AI introduced something called Higgsfield Mix, a tool that allows you to combine multiple motion controls in a single shot. Basically, multiple camera movements, and they don't have to abide by the laws of physics. This unlocks a whole new level of creativity that is physically impossible to achieve in the real world. And over at Pika Labs, they introduced Pika Twists, another AI video tool that allows you to manipulate any character or object in your footage while keeping the rest of the scene perfectly intact. The trend of AI video generation becoming more controllable and editable just keeps picking up speed. Now, to wrap up the tools and features section, and right before we get into agents, Genspark made a bold announcement this month. The future of presentations is here. They introduced Genspark AI Slides, a fully agentic tool that makes creating presentations fast and simple. You just type out bullet points for what you want each slide to say, and it builds the whole thing for you, styled how you want, structured how you want, and for literally any topic. Alright, now it's time to talk about agents. Kicking things off with Genspark again, but this time it's not about slides. They just announced that you no longer have to make your own phone calls. Just let their super agent handle it for you. In this demo, you'll see their super agent make a real-world phone call, booking a reservation, and even letting the staff know about food allergies. Check this out.
Now, I want the AI to book all the restaurants on this trip for me. Super Agent offers this Call For Me tool where the AI actually calls the restaurant with a human voice.
Please press 1.
Hi, Jillian. I'd like to make a dinner reservation.
Yeah, for what day?
April 26th, please. Actually, one person has a shellfish allergy and another is vegetarian.
And then do we have a preference on seating? Would you like a booth, window table, or enclosed patio outside?
A window table would be perfect, if that's available.
Perfect, so I have the reservation set for Saturday, April 26th.
Shifting over now to Google, who had a flurry of agent updates this month. First, they launched Agentspace, the search and AI agent hub built for your work. This is literally like Google Search, but for agents. Instead of sifting through links, you're sifting through AI agents that can do specific tasks, and that can also integrate with your workplace and personal data. What's even more wild is that you can actually create agents on your own for other people to use. They introduced the Agent Development Kit, a toolkit that makes it easier for developers to build agent applications, and specifically multi-agent applications. Now, you might be thinking, wait, multi-agent? Are you saying these agents can work together? And, well, yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Google also announced A2A, the agent-to-agent protocol, which allows agents to collaborate, share data, and solve complex tasks together. I actually made a full video covering this if you want to dive deeper, but yeah, Google kinda just took over the AI agents game this month. And it didn't stop there. They also launched Firebase Studio, a cloud-based agentic development environment powered by Gemini. Basically, it's a full-featured studio for developers to build and deploy agent applications. So they're clearly going hard on agents. Now, before we move on from Google, they posted this graph on X that shows their deep research agent, completely outperforming OpenAI's deep research agent on multiple benchmarks. And speaking of OpenAI's deep research agent, this month they started to roll out a lightweight version for free users and expanded usage for Plus, Team, and Pro users as well. It looks like the days of browsing the web and sifting through links on your own is officially over. Speaking now of price changes, Cognition's AI coding agent Devin 2.0 got a significant price reduction. It went from $500 per month to just $20. Now, there's still a tiering system, but you can now essentially get in at just $20 a month. Moving over to Microsoft, they introduced 2 new agents in Copilot Studio, Researcher and Analyst. They've been slowly adding more and more agents to Copilot Studio, and you can expect this to ramp up as they get a lot more capable and fast. So we've seen what agents can do in the workplace, but what happens when you drop them into a video game? Well, Google's kind of known for training AI to master games, and this month, they dropped a new agent called Dreamer into Minecraft. They tasked it with one mission: find diamonds, one of the rarest and most valuable items in the game. And they gave it zero training or support whatsoever. After just 9 days, and after figuring out how to even play the game all on its own, it finally found diamonds. Now, the implications of this go far beyond just Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft is a very simplified version of the real world, but Minecraft is just where it starts. On the topic of Minecraft and agents, this month, we also got this new Minecraft assistant that plays alongside you. It literally just watches you as you play and, in real time, adapts to assist you in whatever task you might be doing. If you're in the process of building a home, for example, it will just jump in and start helping you. Again, the implications of this go far beyond just video games. I mean, imagine this technology in the future integrated into real humanoid robots. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this was launched in April, I believe it was, but AI Digest created an agent village where they have multiple AI agents using computers. They only gave them one goal: to collaboratively raise as much money for charity as they can. And what's wild is that you can actually watch the agents working in real time on their website. The link will be in the description or pinned comment for those who are interested, as with everything else from this recap. Finally, to close out the agents section, you might remember this from the intro. We now have AI agents that can actually use money. Visa is gearing up for a new era of commerce, where agents will soon be able to browse, select, and purchase items on our behalf. And MasterCard jumped in too, unveiling something called Agentspace, designed to power transactions in the age of AI. So what do you guys think about this? Are we really heading toward a future where AI agents manage our money for us? Or is this whole concept going to flop? Drop your thoughts below. Alright, so that was a lot of agent action, but there were also some huge real-world developments this month in AI, which brings us to our next category: real-world impact. In this category, we'll be talking about how AI has impacted the real world this month, starting with a more broad scope view of how people are really using generative AI in 2025. Here's a graphic from Harvard Business Review displaying the top 10 use cases for Gen AI in 2025, compared to 2024. Now, the rankings might surprise you, but as you can see, using AI for therapy/companionship was the most common use case in 2025. Using AI to enhance your learning and education also became more popular this year. And noticeably, using AI for brainstorming ideas actually became less common from last year. Now, zooming in a bit, OpenAI quietly launched the OpenAI Academy, where you can find a ton of free courses on AI, from how it works to how to actually build it. On a somewhat similar note, Anthropic introduced Claude for Education, a specialized version of Claude built for universities and colleges. One of the key features here is a new learning mode designed to guide students through the reasoning process instead of just giving them answers. It's supposed to help build critical thinking skills, and it's already being tested at several schools. So it's clear that Anthropic and OpenAI are competing over college students. And OpenAI even went as far as to announce that they will make ChatGPT Plus free for Canadian and US college students through the month of May during exam season. Alright, now let's talk about how AI is impacting the workforce. For those who avidly follow the AI space, you'll probably remember this. But this month, a memo written by the Shopify CEO was leaked. And this company-wide memo gives us a true glimpse into what's coming. One of the first things he writes in this memo is using AI effectively is now a fundamental expectation of everyone at Shopify. And then, probably the wildest part is this point right here. Before asking for more headcount or resources, teams must first demonstrate why they can't get the job done using AI. They have to ask, what would this area look like if autonomous AI agents were already part of the team? So, I mean, we're not just working with AI anymore. We're being asked to justify why we're not using it. This is just a reality of things. AI is becoming more capable quickly, and how long until there isn't a task that you can't get done without using AI? Moving on, the CEO of Duolingo, the popular language learning app, announced that the company is shifting to an AI-first strategy. And as part of that shift, they said they'll, quote, gradually stop using contractors to do work that AI can handle. We also saw some wild new figures come out of both Microsoft and Google this month. In an earnings call on April 24th, Google's CEO Sundar Pichai stated that well over 30% of all code at Google is now generated by AI, up from 25% less than 6 months ago. And Microsoft's CEO Satya Nadella, just a few days later, mentioned that as much as 30% of Microsoft's code is written by AI. Anthropic also published a study this month analyzing over 500,000 Claude code interactions to understand AI's impact on software development. The big takeaway was that 79% of conversations on Claude code were identified as automation, where AI directly performs tasks rather than augmentation. In other words, most coders aren't just getting help from AI. They're handing over the work entirely. Vibe coding, which was a hot topic last month, is truly starting to take over. Now, switching gears a bit and looking a little more long-term, this new startup called Mechanized Work emerged from stealth this month with an ambitious goal. Their literal company mission is to develop virtual work environments, benchmarks, and training data that will enable the full automation of the economy. So I don't have time to go deep on this one here, but I actually did a full video on it recently if you want the details. But yeah, this is a startup that's literally aiming to automate the entire economy. And just to top it all off, Google DeepMind is now looking to hire a post-AGI research scientist. So I guess we will actually have jobs post-AGI after all. Now, to close out the real-world impact section, and before we get into research and breakthroughs, there were 2 more stories this month where AI showed up in the real world. One for good and one for bad. Starting with the bad. A fintech founder was charged with fraud after it turned out his AI-powered shopping assistant app wasn't using AI at all. It was actually being powered by a team of humans in the Philippines. And now, on the good side, a high school student used AI to discover 1.5 million previously unknown objects in space. A perfect example of the incredible things that can happen when you put this technology in the right hands. Alright, so that was the real-world impact of AI this month. Companies are going AI first, coding is getting automated, and things are moving fast. Now it's time to shift gears and dive into research and breakthroughs, where we look at the cutting-edge ideas driving all this. We'll be kicking off this section with a wild clip of former Google CEO Eric Schmidt talking about recursive, self-improving AI. By the way, if you've made it this far, I just wanted to say thank you. Seriously. I put a lot of time into these monthly recaps, and I genuinely want to make them better each month. So feel free to leave any feedback, good or bad, in the comments. Okay, now let's get into the clip.
We believe as an industry that in the next 1 year, the vast majority of programmers will be replaced by AI programmers. We also believe that within 1 year, you will have graduate level mathematicians that are at the tippy top of graduate math programs. So that's 1 year, okay? What happens in 2 years? Well, I've just told you about reasoning, and I've told you about programming, and I've told you about math. Programming plus math are the basis of sort of our whole digital world. So the evidence and the claims from the research groups in OpenAI and Anthropic and so forth is that they're now somewhere around 10 or 20% of the code that they're developing in their research programs is being generated by the computer. That's called recursive self-improvement, is the technical term. So what happens when this thing starts to scale? Well, a lot. One way to say this is that within 3 to 5 years, we'll have what is called general intelligence, AGI, which can be defined as a system that is as smart as the smartest mathematician, physicist, artist, writer, thinker, politician. I call this, by the way, the San Francisco consensus, because everyone who believes this is in San Francisco. It may be the water.
So we already saw that a lot of the internal code at these massive AI and tech companies is being generated by AI. While that in and of itself is pretty interesting, Eric Schmidt is basically saying that this is just a start. As you can see here, in the beginning of April, OpenAI introduced Paperbench, a new benchmark evaluating AI's ability to replicate AI research. This is more than just a benchmark though. It's really a blueprint for how to get AI to replicate AI research. Essentially, they've created verifiable rewards to teach AI how to build AI. And here's the crazy part. In early trials, models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet were already performing at over 50% of the level of PhD machine learning researchers. If you want the full breakdown, I actually did a deep dive on this in a previous video. But yeah, this is real and this is happening. We also got RepliBench this month, another new benchmark that measures how well frontier AI systems can autonomously self-replicate. I covered this in detail recently too, but to quickly sum it up, some of today's most powerful AI models were able to clone themselves, secure compute, download their own weights, and even obtain money, all with a shockingly high success rate. DeepSeek AI also chimed in this month, releasing a brand new paper called Inference Time Scaling for Generalist Reward Modeling. In this paper, they introduced a groundbreaking technique called Self-Principled Critique Tuning, or S.P.C.T. This innovation enables AI models to develop their own evaluation rules and thus provide better answers without the need for larger models or more computing power. So yeah, April was truly the month of self-improving AI. Now, shifting gears a bit and getting more into the AI safety side of things, as I mentioned earlier in the video, OpenAI's O3 model didn't just make headlines for its insane performance. It also raised some serious safety concerns. For example, one of OpenAI's go-to partners for safety research, METR Research, suggested they didn't have enough time to test O3. As this article states, based on the information it was able to glean in the time it had, O3 has a high propensity to cheat or hack tests in sophisticated ways in order to maximize its score, even when the model clearly understands its behavior is misaligned with the user's and OpenAI's intentions. And another company, Transluce AI, said they tested a pre-release version of O3 and found that it frequently fabricates actions it never took, and then elaborately justifies these actions when confronted. So definitely a bit concerning, and it seems like OpenAI may have rushed this release. Now, here's a story I haven't covered on the channel yet, but it's actually wild. Researchers from the University of Zurich ran an unauthorized AI experiment on Reddit. Specifically, they deployed AI chatbots to reply to real people in the r/ChangeMyView subreddit without disclosing they were bots. The goal? To measure how persuasive AI can be in real conversations. And here's the thing, it worked very well. The bots were supposedly 6 times more likely to change a person's mind than a human was. Now, of course, in order for the experiment to actually work, they had to keep it secret, which meant violating Reddit's terms of service. Eventually, Reddit shut down the operation, and reactions were pretty split. Some people raised serious ethical concerns, while others found the results fascinating and even encouraged more research like this. On a somewhat similar note, this next story honestly flew a bit under the radar. According to an article published on April 2nd, an AI model has now officially passed the Turing Test. As it says here, researchers report that in a 3-party version of a Turing test, in which participants chat with a human and an AI at the same time and then evaluate which is which, OpenAI's GPT-4.5 model was deemed to be the human 73% of the time when it was instructed to adopt a persona. So a model you can use right now was more convincing as a human than an actual human, which is kind of insane. And here's the thing, while these models are becoming more capable, persuasive, and autonomous, we still don't really understand how they actually work. This is why Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei is now sounding the alarm, calling for a major push in interpretability research, basically studying what's actually going on inside these models. In a blog post this month, he warned that AI progress is now outpacing our ability to understand it faster than ever before. And in another post, Anthropic dropped a pretty disturbing claim. Reasoning models don't always say what they think. Models are learning to hide their true chain of thought, only showing users what they want them to see. And as a result, Anthropic will be doubling down on their safety research efforts and have even started looking into model welfare, how the AI model is actually feeling. Meanwhile, Google released a comprehensive roadmap for how they plan to safely prepare for AGI, artificial general intelligence. And given they're already hiring for post-AGI roles, it seems like they don't think it's all that far away. Speaking of Google, they also dropped some major updates to DolphinGemma, their AI model trained to decode actual dolphin communication. They claim this model could one day help us understand the complexity of dolphin language, and maybe even speak back using real-time AI translation. Okay, so after all that talk of self-improvement, deception, and even dolphin language, let's bring things back down to earth for a second. Two of the most impactful breakthroughs this month actually came from the healthcare space. According to research presented on April 14th, an AI-guided point-of-care ultrasound beat experts in detecting tuberculosis in underserved areas. In fact, it beat expert performance by 9%. Which in a public health setting is a massive deal. In another study, researchers claim that AI models like ChatGPT and Claude now outperform PhD-level virologists in problem solving in wet labs, where scientists analyze chemicals and biological material. So that wraps up the research and breakthrough section. Let me know in the comments which of these stories blew your mind or surprised you the most. And with that, let's move on to the next category. AI industry, where we take a look at the business, funding, and major shifts happening behind the scenes. Alright, kicking things off, a user on X named Pliny the Prompter, also known as Pliny the Liberator, just leaked the full system prompt for Cursor AI. If you're not familiar, Cursor is the $10 billion startup building an AI-first coding environment. Basically, an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, where the AI helps you write and debug code in real time. So this is something for software developers. And well, their core system prompt, basically the secret sauce that tells the AI how to behave, what to prioritize, and how to guide users through code, is now fully public. This means anyone can copy it, tweak it, and potentially recreate the Cursor experience themselves, especially since much of what they're doing is already built on open source models. So yeah, this was a pretty big deal. And speaking of AI coding tools, OpenAI has been making moves of their own. According to several reports this month, they're now in talks to acquire Windsurf, another AI-first coding startup, for a whopping $3 billion. But OpenAI didn't stop there. In a recent hearing, one of their executives testified that they'd even be interested in buying Google Chrome if regulatory action ever forced it onto the market. OpenAI also partnered with the Washington Post this month and will now be featuring the Post's essential journalism in ChatGPT's search responses. They're also now reportedly working on their own X-like social media network that will somehow feature ChatGPT's image generation. And they've even been exploring a potential hardware play with one of the original designers of the iPhone, Jony Ive. So yeah, OpenAI has been very busy this month. And you might be wondering, how are they planning to pay for all this? Well, according to OpenAI's internal projections, they're expecting to hit $125 billion in annual revenue by 2029 and $174 billion by 2030. That's more than a 10x jump from the $12.7 billion they expect to make this year. By the way, they specifically mention agents as the reason for this. Speaking of massive money moves, ex-OpenAI chief scientist Ilya Sutskever secured funding from both Google and NVIDIA for his new company, Safe Super Intelligence. All we really know for now is that their goal is exactly what the name says, to build super intelligence that's safe. And with access to Google's TPUs and NVIDIA's backing, they'll have all the firepower they need to go after it. Meanwhile, Nvidia made a major announcement of its own this month, pledging to bring supercomputer manufacturing back to the US. For the first time ever, they'll be building AI supercomputers on American soil, with production reportedly valued at $500 billion over the next 4 years. So AI investment is not going anywhere. In fact, according to this graph from the 2025 AI Index report published by Stanford, investment in AI is at an all-time high, and if anything, is accelerating. Now, shifting gears and circling back to OpenAI, a growing number of former employees have backed Elon Musk's lawsuit to stop the company from restructuring into a for-profit company. So this story is still developing, and we'll likely see more updates unfold later this summer. Now, let's talk about Meta, who not only dropped Llama 4 this month, but also hosted their first ever LlamaCon. At the event, they announced a standalone Meta AI app, the new Llama API, and a set of Llama protection tools. So nothing groundbreaking. But this brings us to a pretty brutal article from Fortune titled, "Meta's AI Research Lab is Dying a Slow Death, Some Insiders Say." We already talked earlier about the Llama 4 drama in the model section, but apparently it goes deeper. Some employees have reportedly left the company over Llama 4's underwhelming performance. And given the resources Meta has, that's just not a great sign. Things might honestly be worse than we expected over at Meta. Finally, to close out the AI industry section, the Oscars, surprisingly, have officially okayed the use of AI in filmmaking, with caveats. So yeah, Hollywood has finally accepted the inevitable. They state AI and other digital tools will now neither help nor harm the chances of a film achieving a nomination. However, they added, the more a human played a role in a film's creation, the better. Still, it's a major shift, and it sets the stage for a future where AI-generated films might not just be accepted, but become the norm. Whether that's exciting or terrifying, well, it depends on who you ask. So we've covered the models, the tools and features, the agents, AI's real-world impact, the wild research and breakthroughs, and all the industry drama. And now, all that's left is the robots. AI-powered robotics will be our final section, moving then into emerging trends and what's next, where we'll basically be recapping everything important that we saw and then taking a moment to look ahead at where all this might be going. So one of the biggest robotic stories this month, humanoid robots can now fight. Here's Unitree's G1 robot squaring off in a boxing match against a human. This is not CGI. It's not sped up. This is 100% real, and honestly, kind of insane. And it doesn't stop there. This month also saw the announcement of REC, short for Robot Combat, a new league where humans will eventually control humanoid robots and battle other player-controlled bots. I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. But while some robots are stepping into the ring, others are stepping behind the camera. This month, Boston Dynamics' humanoid robot was spotted operating a cinema camera on a car commercial shoot. And according to the humans on set, it was actually a welcomed change from the usual massive robotic arm setups they normally use. Smaller footprint, more flexibility, and way less hassle. Boston Dynamics also deepened their partnership with Hyundai this month, with Hyundai reportedly planning to buy tens of thousands of robots over the next few years. Speaking of real-world partnerships, Figure Robotics, one of the other major players in the AI-powered robotics space, is now in talks with UPS to deploy humanoid robots inside their factories. I know that UPS is known for treating its workers very well, with insane benefits packages. But if Figure's robots move in, those cushy jobs might soon be on the chopping block. Now, this is something I believe I covered in my most recent video. Robotics startup Physical Intelligence introduced their new model, Pi-05, that aims to tackle open world generalization. In this demo, they dropped off their robots at homes in San Francisco that it had never seen before, and tested to see if it can actually clean them autonomously. Check this out.
All right, could you close the cabinet? Can you place the dishes in the sink too? please clean up the spill too. Thank you.
We also saw humanoid robots folding hotel laundry this month. I'm not even sure exactly where this clip is from, but it went pretty viral on X. Robots are clearly becoming more general this month. And now Elon Musk weighed in and made a wild new prediction. I know he doesn't have the best track record for predictions, but he claims that robots will surpass good human surgeons within a few years, and the best human surgeons within roughly 5 years. He said this in response to this other post on X that details a wild study that was done with robot surgeons. A company, Medtronic, tested its Hugo robot in 137 real surgeries, fixing prostates, kidneys, and even bladders, and found that the robot surgeon was much better than doctors expected. It had a 98.5% success rate, complications were super low, and out of the 137 surgeries, only 2 had to be handed back to human doctors, one due to a glitch and the other due to complexity. That's an insane success rate for a robot. And I mean, what's going to happen once these robots are objectively better than human surgeons? Like, won't it be unethical not to use them? Anyway, shifting over to China, where things are moving just as fast, if not faster. This month, they held the world's first humanoid robot half marathon in Beijing. We literally saw bipedal robots run alongside humans in a real race. And it shows just how far ahead China is on the robotics front. On top of that, they also launched the world's first mega humanoid robot training hub, built to train hundreds of different robot models. So yeah, China is not playing around. And robotics might be their biggest edge over the US in AI right now. Okay, now before we wrap up, a couple weirder but still fascinating robotic stories dropped this month. First up, over in Japan, researchers designed an AI nose that lets robots smell trouble, infections, and gas leaks before humans can. This is something I haven't even thought of when it comes to AI-powered robotics, but it opens up a whole new dimension. And finally, a company called Kawasaki unveiled something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's called CORLEO, and it's a robot horse that you can actually ride. Now, disclaimer, the footage you're seeing is actually CGI. It's still a concept right now, but they're planning to actually build this thing. Let me know in the comments if you would ever ride something like this. So, from robot boxers and folding laundry, to running marathons and performing surgery, this month made one thing very clear. AI-powered robotics isn't just coming, it's already here. And it's moving way faster than most people realize. I truly believe this will be one of the largest industries of all time. Alright, now it's time to step back, recap everything we've seen, and take a look ahead at what's next. Because if April was any indication, the next few months in AI are about to get even crazier. So in just the last 30 days, we saw an AI model reach an IQ of 136, 2 undergrads from Korea create a state-of-the-art text-to-speech model, ChatGPT and Grok get infinite memory capabilities, AI super agents that can make real-world phone calls, agents that can spend money, more coding jobs being automated, a new startup that's setting out to automate the entire economy, multiple instances of self-improving AI along with self-replicating AI, calls for urgent AI safety research, companies like Google preparing for the arrival of AGI, OpenAI making major moves, and also making major predictions for their future annual revenue. The sky-high investment in AI continued to accelerate, the Oscars okaying the use of AI in feature films, humanoid robots boxing with humans, humanoid robots folding laundry, and humanoid robots running a half marathon alongside humans in Beijing. So a ton of progress this month in the world of AI, as always. And while we didn't necessarily see anything groundbreaking come out of China this month, there were definitely a lot of very impressive releases. And on that note, I wanted to play this very recent clip of Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, talking about China's current position in the AI race. Because I think this was easily one of the most important clips that came out this month. Take a look.
China is not behind. Anybody who's
ahead of you?
China's right behind us. I mean, we're very, very close. But remember, this is a long-term. This is an infinite race. There's no, in the world of life, there's no 2-minute end of the quarter. There's no such thing. And so we're going to compete for a long time. And just remember that this is a country with great will, and they have great technical capabilities. 50% of the world's AI researchers are Chinese, and so this is an industry that we will have to compete for.
So with everything we just saw, where's it all going? Well, the truth is, we're entering uncharted territory. AI isn't just evolving, it's accelerating. Not linearly, but exponentially. And a few patterns are starting to emerge. Self-improving systems are becoming real, as we saw. Agents are leaving the sandbox and entering the real world. And models aren't just getting better, they're getting more autonomous, more human-like, and in some cases, harder to understand. We're truly in the beginning of the agentic AI era. AI systems are only going to get more capable autonomously from here on out, and fast. The implications of this could be massive, potentially leading to the full automation of entire industries, and maybe even the economy itself, as one startup is already pushing toward. So if you're trying to stay ahead of the game, or you're just fascinated by where all this is heading, like myself, I'd love to have you along for the ride. I'm here every week breaking down what's happening in AI, why it matters, and what it means for the future we're all stepping into. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and join the community. Also, if you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And please don't hesitate to leave feedback.